Hi, it's Peggy at Headshots by Peggy, and today is Camera Tips for Actors with John SWANBECK. Yay, the crowd goes wild. All right, John, do you have a quote for me today?
I have a few quotes from you today, for you today, and more importantly to your viewers. I'm
My
going to.
viewers are more important than me, John. Come on.
The viewers are more important than all of us, Peggy.
That's true.
Without them,
We do this for them.
without we do it for ourselves and we hold them hostage. Um, Speaking of holding people hostage, I was working with some actors the past couple of days, and one of the big things I try to get actors to understand is that characters on camera are, for the most part, held hostage by the experiences, by the feelings they're experiencing. And because actors are taught to do different things with the material, beats, transitions, moments, reactions, they're doing a lot of things through the scene. And so they're, they are bigger than the emotion that they are experiencing. And what you want to do on camera is create so that the emotion is bigger than the character, bigger than the actor. And so I just did this morning with some actors and got them to create as though they were being held hostage by the emotions they're feeling, so that they don't get to do as much during the scene, which I know is what they're trained to do, but it works differently on camera. And so if you can think about that, if they can think about that, actors, your viewers, whoever can think about it, that's what makes something cinematic on camera. And if they watch film and television with that idea in mind, they're going to see that the characters are kind of held hostage by the emotion. So, I'll be really terrified in one moment and I can't seem to get out of the moment, and I can still have a conversation with Peggy, but I'm really terrified by the moment and I can't fight my way out of it with beats and moments and transitions. And now I'm doing something that looks very much like it belongs on camera. And when they play beats and moments and transitions, it's like they can fight their way out of the emotion, and then it loses potency. So I know that that's what they're trained to do. They just have to think about it differently than they're taught to do in class. Basically, what you're doing on camera is all of those beats, those moments, those transitions that are happening, they're happening very inside of you. And then the camera can go in and find them and capture them. But all of those beats, those moments, those transitions, those reactions, they're happening deep inside of you so that they don't look like they're being played, but they're being experienced. And and then the camera can come get them and bring them back to the audience and translate them for the audience, because the camera's like the ambassador for the audience. Um, so those two things, just keep in mind. They can do all the beats and the moments and transitions and the things that they are taught to do, but it happens subliminally. It happens very much inside, so that someone sitting across the room might not see it, but when the camera's there on the set and pointed at the actor, the camera can see them, and we can feel them when we're watching actors in in film and television. We can feel the beats and moments and transitions and reactions, but they're kind of unspoken. They're silent in a way. Um, and what takes their place is this character being, like I said, held hostage by an emotion. If my character's heartbroken, I'm going to be heartbroken the whole time, and I'm not going to be able to break out of the heartbreak. And you can talk to me, and the world can try to talk to me, but I'm caught in that heartbreak the whole time, and I can sustain that for an entire scene. And actors will freak out because they're thinking, "Wait, I'm just going to do one thing through the whole scene." No, you're doing so many things underneath. There's a chaos of emotion going on underneath, on the hidden layers, and that's how you think to work on camera. But I was just working with that with actors this morning, and the idea came up of being held hostage by the emotion, and they suddenly were creating movie takes. So there's always that battle between that idea of you're being held hostage by an emotion and all the things you're supposed to do in a scene, and they both are happening, but they're more happening like this versus they're happening side by side. If
Well,
that makes
we always talk about you can't lie to the camera. The camera sees all those things. And so when I'm doing headshots, I tell people you have to feel it, that you have to feel that emotion, and then the camera can capture it. And that's exactly what you were saying. But I think what a lot of actors don't understand is they go to acting school and they learn this principle and they learn, this technique and they learn that technique. And they think that those techniques are how to act in front of the camera. And they don't realize that those techniques are to get them to the place that they can do what you're saying. And that's kind of what you and I talk about every month on here is that um, you those techniques and those things that you learn in acting school are to get you into that emotional place. They're like going to college and learning this thing, but when you actually go to work, you don't do it procedurally. You apply the procedures into a process. And I think that's what you're saying is, you know, yes, all those beats, all those things those are all real things, but you don't do it like the checklist you learned in school. You have to let that become part of who you are and how you act in front of camera.
Yes, 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 yes. Well, I said it, but I think you might have even just said it better. Um, so it's brilliant at getting you to a place you need to get to, but it's not what you then do when you get to that place.
Exactly, exactly. I love that. All right.
Right.
And I love that, being held hostage by emotions, because if you think about the things that you just can't turn away from, the thing that you set down and you turn on, and then you all of a sudden an hour has passed and you're like, how did that happen? It's because you feel those emotions. You are in that, it captures you, it holds you hostage. You're like part of it. And that's when you're watching something that's got you know, good storyline, good plot, and good acting all
Right.
put in together.
Right. And we've all had our heart broken. So imagine back to the time you last had your heart broken. I'm sorry, you're held hostage by that heartbreak. You're stuck in it, and
Right.
you cannot get out of it. And people can try to talk you out of it. Situations happen that demand your attention, but you are not thinking or thinking about anything else or feeling anything else. The heartbreak consumes you for, I don't know, a few weeks, a couple of days, I don't know, but it consumes you. That's the other way to look at it, is the profound emotion, heartbreak, terror, fear, joy, guilt. They they sort of consume the actor.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. I love it. That was awesome.
You know what we should do sometime? We'll have to figure out the right clip for this. One of the things I do when I'm working with actors, like in a session, um, my cinematic jam session, or even individually, I will play them like a clip. I'll pick out a clip ahead of time of something that I think demonstrates what cinematic acting is. Um, and cinematic acting is very different than acting. Um, Film acting is very different from acting, like you were just saying. But I don't know if we would want to do that, if it would fold in smoothly. But I could show like a 2 minute clip. I don't know if we'll have to talk
I
about
think I think we could pull that off. If you have one ready, we can pull it off in this edit. If not, then next month we'll do that. I think the viewers would like, something. Show a clip and then explain what you're talking about. I think leave comments, guys. But I think I'm assuming you would like it. I would like that if I were
it.
watching this.
The actors that work with me love it because I talk
Yeah.
about principles that are kind of foreign to them, and they're sort of wary of. Um, I do try to get them to understand, like you were saying, like we were just saying, that it's really both of what they learned in acting class and what these cinematic aesthetic principles are, and they work together beautifully. But initially, they think there's this conflict. But I'll often show a clip. I'll talk for a little bit, give like a little mini cinematic talk, and then I'll show a clip. that demonstrates exactly what I'm talking about. And they find that very illuminating, uh,
Yeah.
very instructive. Um, so yeah, we would just fold in a clip for a day, for a minute or so.
Yeah. I think that would be awesome.
This morning I was showing a clip from. Have you seen the Queen's Gambit?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good. Then you can agree with me about what I'm about. I showed them a 2 minute montage of the relationship between the Beth and the Benny character, and it takes place over the course of the 7 episodes. And I just showed that to them this morning, and I said to them, "You're going to notice 5 things. You're going to notice one, stillness; two, um, now I forgot what they are. Elegance, stillness, elegance, focused energy, um, uh, minimal use of the voice, very little voice, and watchful eyes. So focus, so stillness, elegance, controlled energy, focused energy, um, and minimal use of the voice, and watchful eyes. And remember those 5 things because you will see them in almost everything you're watching. If you've seen the latest Justice League movie that Zack Snyder directed, you're going to see the exact same cinematic principles in this superhero movie that are displayed in this Netflix drama.
Uh-huh.
Those are aesthetic cinematic principles of execution. Nothing's everything. I know there's one every once in a while there's a scene where John's yelling at Peggy and Peggy's yelling at John. Those do not happen very often. The universal cinematic principles are the ones I just articulated. And you could see them all through that montage. It was a montage of moments from the 7 episodes featuring their relationship. And if anyone goes and watches, Queen's Gambit, you're going to see those exact principles all the way through the 7 episodes. So then I showed that clip, and then we talked about it and
Hmm.
stuff. But when people can actually have someone point it out to them, they they sort of see it much more. Um, and if anyone hasn't seen Queen's Gambit, which I'm sure everyone has, it's one of the most
Amazing.
it's very instructive about cinematic acting, um, and they're very still throughout. And when they move, it's even like it's balletic. It's not like naturalistic, and and they're very elegant in all of their movements, and that's just being cinematic and voice to themselves, focused energy, and watchful eyes. And actors a lot of times miss the eyes because they're playing the scene and they're trying to get into the scene and play the scene, and so you know they're used to things on camera happening as a result of their process. But our favorite film and television actors realize on camera that they're doing something with their eyes that actors aren't going to get to by just doing the process. You're doing something very specific. Um, so if anyone hasn't seen Queen's Gambit, I would go watch it with that in mind. Um,
Yeah, I recommend that too. We watched it and I was blown away because I was not interested in watching a show about chest. It's like that literally sounds like the most boring thing in the world, and I was blown away by it. Blown away by it. It very very well done.
it took 30
Everything
it took 30 years to get it made.
really.
And the reason it took 30 years to get it made is because every studio and production company in town said, nobody wants to watch a movie about chess, which is exactly what you just said. Nobody wants to watch a show about chess. And so it took them 30 years. And then, of course, Netflix can do anything they want. So, and they're always looking for
Wow,
content. They gave them the green light. And
wow. That's I did not know. So that they have been that has been somebody's baby for 30 years. They have been trying to get done, and then they were like, "Told ya,
right,
told
right.
ya." Yeah, that just blew me away. It was so well done, so well thought out, so well everything.
Um, and yeah, now she incorporates those ideas I just listed, those cinematic principles I just listed, and she's now an international star because of it. And it's because
Yep.
she understands how to command the camera like that. So those 5 things are essential for pretty much anything you're doing on camera. And then, of course, there's more to it, but those 5 are the big 5, those 5 principles.
And that's literally what we're here every month talking about is camera tips for actors. If actors don't know how to command the camera, if actors don't know how to use the camera, then that's that's a big disconnect. That's a huge disconnect because if you don't understand how the camera sees you and how your body comes across on the camera, then that's kind of the whole point of being a television or film actor is knowing how this camera sees you and what your actions, how the camera sees your actions. And sometimes I'll have clients in, mainly before the pandemic. I haven't done a lot of self tapes for clients in studio, but I have done a couple. And and sometimes I'll be like, come watch this clip. Like, you know, they have their lines memorized, but they don't understand how they look on camera. And that's why it's so important to not have that disconnect. Know what you look like on camera, know what you're doing actually looks like. Get in front of that camera at least 3 times a week and do something. Practice your craft and know these things. These tips that John's giving us are they're amazing. They're so simple and it seems like it should be so obvious, but it's not because people aren't saying it. And that's why I love having you on here because you give the perspective from a director's point of view. Hey, I need an actor that can act that already looks like they belong on TV.
Um,
So
yes, yeah, absolutely. Hold on a second. I'm going to move. Am I more in the light now?
yeah, you look good. You look
I
good.
think I was just in the shadow a second ago, and you
Well, the
gotta.
sun's going down. We're recording this right as both of us are losing light. So you see all this light here in a couple of minutes. It's going to be dark back
It's going
here.
to be a very slow fade to black.
Yeah,
We don't usually do them at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. We do them.
we normally don't, but today happened to be that day. So
Oh my
that's
gosh!
all right.
Bye, everybody.
It's good that we're busy though, John. It's good that we're both busy.
Well, you know what I'm laughing about is here we are talking about what actors need to know about the camera, and I'm not even aware of my lights. The lights not being on me, and they're thinking, "Who are you that I'm going to listen to you?" Um, yes, and I think I've said this before, but it is the most instructive thing an actor can do, which is watch film and television with the volume muted. And when you watch it with the volume muted and you don't get to follow how actors are acting dialogue, it's an entirely different experience. And you're going to notice. I think the 3 things you're going to say to yourself is, "Oh my gosh, no one's doing anything." I mean, it's incredible how little they're doing on camera. But of course, they're full of so much. They've created profound emotions, but they're doing nothing. And
Hmm.
you're going to say that, and then you're going to say, um, "Oh, the character hasn't changed." Characters don't change on camera. That's a crazy one for actors to wrap their head around. And then the other one is, "Oh, I can tell they're thinking something inside." And that's one of the keys to creating on camera is you're always thinking something that you're not saying. You're feeling something that you're not saying. And if they can get that principle down, and of course, what they're used to doing is everything's about creating what they are saying because they have that relationship with the script. But on camera, there's that whole other layer that is them thinking and feeling something they're not talking about. And you'll see those 3 things when you watch it with the volume muted. Nobody's moving, actors aren't changing, and there's this thing going on that is palpable even without the dialogue.
I feel like those are the most effective headshots is when you see a headshot and they're thinking something and it intrigues you, you want to know what they're thinking. I think if you get a headshot and it's just a blank expression, like say cheese, There's nothing capturing about that. That's not going to hold me hostage. That's not going to make me want to click on your profile and, check out your reel or anything. But it's the same, and it's the same principle. Like, that's what holds you, is the expression, because the camera can pick it up. The camera can pick it up when you're not, when you're upset. I could be just boiling mad and, sitting here with a smile on my face, but people are going to be able to be like, wow, what just happened with Peggy, because she's not herself. Like, I can see something going on. And you can always see that. That's why before you get in front of the camera, you got to be real honest with yourself, because everybody else is going to know what's going on.
Right. It's like when you're really upset with somebody and they don't they don't know it, and you show up at a party and they're trying to make conversation with you, and you're fuming inside, and you're still carrying on pleasant dialogue, but
Right.
you're fuming inside the whole time, but you're carrying on pleasant dialogue. That's what it's like.
Yeah,
It's
the whole room knows it. The whole room knows. Woo.
right, right, right.
You may say good morning or good afternoon, but they can feel that, and that's the camera can pick up on that as well. And so that's why it's really important.
It's always the things you're not talking about.
That's always the most interesting thing, is the things that you're not saying. And I think we mentioned that a couple of months ago. The things that you don't say is the most interesting, because like I said, I could say good morning, but what is the emotion, and what just happened, and where is that coming from? Is that just a pleasantry, or is that, what is that? What does that really mean?
Yeah, 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 yeah. Hey, I can merge what we do, what we each do separately for this next topic. I was working with someone today. He had an audition, and he kind of described the character, the ideas of the character, and I was trying to get him to be more specific, because actors have a lot of wonderful ideas. Everybody has a lot of wonderful ideas, but ideas are not playable choices. So I'm always trying to get actors to take their wonderful ideas and turn them into playable choices. Um, and so this actor he was prepping an audition, um, and I said to him, "Can you give me the character description?" And he said, "There isn't a character description." And I said, "Look again," because a lot of times they won't even realize there's a description, because they want to get right to the meat of the story. He said, "No, there's no description." And I said, "Do you know which headshot they use to call you in?" And he thought about it. He said, "Oh, yeah, it's the one with me. I have this very sly smile, and I look a little sneaky, and I'm sly," which was exactly the character his ideas were trying to capture. So I said to him, "Okay, I want you to try something. I want you to recreate the headshot, bring it
Mm-hmm.
to life, bring it to life, and then see what happens if you then let the dialogue flow through this headshot you've brought to life, and try not to change the headshot as you go along." And suddenly there was the character that they described, and that he was interpreting he was he was interpreting their description. And so he just brought it to life, and he was amazed afterward. He said, "That was incredible." um, and then the other thing was, I had to get him to, at one point, this sly sneaky character becomes worried about his mother, and then concerned about something else, and he drops the character in the headshot to play the worry about the mother and the concern about the other thing. And I said, "No, no, 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 no. Go back and bring the headshot to life, and don't let what's happening in the scene corrupt it. Let what's happening in the scene work inside of it." You know? So he did it, and he loved it. He said that was amazing, because he said, "Now I understand what casting directors think about when they're looking at our
Uh-huh.
headshots and looking at our auditions." Um, he was really amazed at the experience, and um, I think that's what casting directors mean when they say that person doesn't even look like their headshot. They're not talking about your hair's blonde versus black. They're talking about you're like a different human. You have a different personality. You have a different essence. And 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 he said, "Now I get what casting directors are looking for." Um, so
Exactly.
thought that was
That's
interesting.
what I always tell people. In fact, we were on Clubhouse today, and that subject came up, and because they were like, my hair, sometimes I wear it this way and sometimes I wear it this way. Is it important that my hair is the same as my headshot? And I said, well, I mean, it would be great if it happens to be the same, But the most important thing is that emotion that you have in your headshot. That's what they want. That's what caught their eye. It wasn't if your hair was in a ponytail or natural or what. That's not, was your hair braided or not. That's not what, I mean, that may have been part of what they liked, but what caught their eye, what popped, is the emotion in that headshot. So you want to make sure that your audition, when you show up for your audition, when you tape your audition, that that same emotion, that same feel that's in that headshot is there. Because just like this is a perfect example. I love it because I've never heard a real life example that obvious as what you just described. Um, but they love the sly little, I've got something hidden, I know something you don't know, like they loved that.
Classic.
And then he comes to the audition and he's like this, goofy guy or who knows, whatever, or he plays it really straight. They're gonna be like, oh, I was hoping he'd be more like his headshot. Oh well. So
Exactly.
that is the perfect example. Thanks for sharing that. If nobody else, for me, because I'm always telling my clients that. So you just gave me a real life story to prove that that's exactly what goes on, and that was perfect because his headshot matched the character description. Like
Right.
you can
Exactly.
see why they picked him. It's that was it.
And that's what they do when they go through your headshots. They go, "Oh, that could be our character."
Exactly.
And then, of course, I talk to actors. They say to me, "I don't know which headshot they saw when they called me in, and I don't know what my agent sent out, and I've got 12 of them on IMDb or whatever it is." And I understand that makes that very challenging. But if you don't, then you're you're advertising one thing and you're not delivering it, and they're going to say, "Wait a minute, what?"
Well, on your EcoCast, it has the headshot that your agent submitted.
Oh,
Like
okay.
you just go look because it's there. That's part of your job as an actor is to do that homework. And ask your agent if you can't find it. Say, hey, do you remember what headshot you submitted there? Because they'll have it. I mean, they have. This is all done digitally. It doesn't just vanish. Like they have a copy of things. So, but it's you go into your EcoCast and it's right there in your audition. There's the headshot that was submitted. It's attached to it. So it's just like you said, sometimes actors get so excited to memorize the lines that they don't bother to read the character description. They don't
Right.
bother to read the things that have an X through it. They don't bother to read the what happened before and what's going on, during. So I think it's really important that actors take the time to read everything that comes through, even if there's an X through it. Like it's still part of the script. It's still going to give you insight. It's still going to help that character development. It's still going to give you an understanding of what's going on.
Yes, yes, yes. Um, and yeah, so headshots. And if there is no description, which a lot of days there is no character description, they really don't give them one, which is crazy. But the
Your
answer
headshot's a big key.
the answer is your headshot. The answer is the character is your headshot. Um, so anyway, that actor found it really, really helpful.
That's
Um,
awesome.
and the other thing that makes me think is, sometimes a lot of times they'll give actors two scenes, one early on in the script and one a little later in the script, two scenes. And I think a lot of people think they want to see what you're going to do differently in the second scene from the first scene. And it's actually the opposite. They're looking to see if you can maintain who the character is in one scene and in the other scene. And then there'll be all of this inside stuff we're talking about going on. But whatever your viewers are watching on film and television right now, they close their eyes and think about the characters. The characters don't change while they're going through all of those changes. They don't actually change on the outside while they're going through all those changes. And actors will often think, okay, in this scene I'm really happy, and in this scene I'm really sad, or whatever. And they want to see, will you maintain the character while the character is experiencing different different situations? But can you maintain the character? Because they want to know that when you get on set, the character is going to be there. So they should think about that as well. The two scenes aren't there to see what you do differently. They're there to see if you can do it the same in some ways.
That's a good point. I think from the feedback I get from actors, a lot of times actors will make one choice for the first scene and one choice for the second scene, because I think in their mind, they think, well, the casting director will see that, I could make either choice and I could play it either way. But I see your point of view there. That's a really valid point. Is I want to know if you understand what your character is and if you can keep that consistent throughout the whole entire series.
Right, you're Peggy Warney, and you're wonderful in this scene, but later on, sorry to use you America as an example, you America are going to have a fight. You don't know this yet, but you're going to fight. It's going to be the same Peggy Warney who's here,
Uh-huh.
as the one who's going to be there. She'll have different things going on and going through changes. But the question actors need to ask themselves is, what is it about my character that never changes? There will be plenty of things that they're going through, changes working on them. That they understand.
Uh-huh.
But if they're going to make it work on camera, the question to ask is, what is it about my character that never changes while I'm going through changes? And there's always a few elements that don't change for the entire series. We were talking about the Queen's Gambit, 7 episodes. She doesn't change at
Yeah.
all.
She
Um,
matures, she grows, but she's still, yeah.
and that kind of thinking really makes somebody look like they're in a movie, or they know how to create a movie take. And that's the big disconnect I think actors experience without even knowing it when they're auditioning for something on camera, is they don't realize those things.
Yeah. That's some powerful stuff, John. This
Um,
is this e- every month when we record this, I always think this is the best one we've had ever. And then next month I'm like, this is the best one we've had ever. But this is really good stuff. I
this, is,
love it.
this is good stuff. Um,
So you gave us a ton of stuff today. You gave us 5 things to look for cinematic. You gave us examples. I don't know. My mind's pretty stuffed right now. Do you want to like go ahead and give us a closing statement for this and sum it all up? Because this is some good stuff.
um, that was my closing statement. That was a
Oh,
40
well, I think you did it. John's like, come on, Peggy, that was the closing
that
statement.
was my closing statement. Boom, I'm done.
No, that was great. So you guys leave comments because
Ooh,
we love leave questions. I know that I've been a little behind on my social media interactions lately, but I am back on tune with it. I will continue to keep on track and get back on that. So leave us questions. What questions would you like me to ask John? What do you understand? What don't you understand? What do you love? What was your favorite thing about this video? So leave us comments. Um, yep,
and um, and if there are any movies or TV shows you want me to play a 2-minute clip of to demonstrate something we're talking about, say that. Say, hey, this is my favorite movie. This is my favorite. Let me know what you're talking about, and I'll do that. I mean, otherwise I'll pick one. But usually the actors like to pick one and suggest it, and so we'll take those suggestions too.
absolutely. That's great. We'll take suggestions. We're here every single month. The very first week of the month, John comes and hangs out with me, and I'm here every week. But we get John at least once a month, so that's good. Make sure that you're following John on all of his social media platforms. All the links are down below in the description. He puts out quotes of the day. He puts out just amazing tips and things to make you stop and think, things to make you question. I know I read his stuff and sometimes I'm like, oh, yeah, that's right on. And sometimes I read his stuff and I'm like, what?
What
And
up?
then I have to think about it. And then at least by the next day or two, I'm like, that's what he meant. I get it. And, those are actually end up being my favorite quotes because they challenge my brain and make me think. And it's one of those things that once I read it, like, a few hours later, I'll be doing something and I'll remember it and I'll, kind of think on it some more. And pretty soon I'm doing this and think on it some more. And so John never disappoints with his quotes. So make sure you're following him all over the place and tell him that you think that he needs to put that, the 365 quotes a year calendar out. So let him know how much we want that, because he's slacking on that. We've been talking about it for a while.
I'm bad. Right now, I'm trying to stay in my light right now. So
I know, because the light's dropping. See, I still have light. We finished before it went dark on me. But you can see it starting. You can see the corners of the shadow coming in. The shadow monster's coming.
Next time we do it in the afternoon.
That's all right. We usually, like I said, we usually don't record this late. That's okay, because Thursday morning at 10 a.m., that's when they're all going to see it.
Yes.
So anyway, well, as always, please make sure that you follow both of us on all of our social media platforms. All the descriptions are below. Make sure, if you haven't yet, find me over on YouTube, subscribe, share this video with everyone you know, leave us tons of comments, and most importantly, have an amazing week. I'll see you next week.
Bye.
Text or call today so that we can get you effective headshots that you can use as part of your marketing strategy. Headshots by Peggy, how can I help you?